Kevin and Chad Frank are finally speaking out, breaking their silence on the shocking scandal that turned their family's once thriving YouTube empire into one of the most disturbing cases of abuse in social media history. For years, the 8 Passengers channel projected the image of a wholesome, faith-based family, drawing in over 2.5 million subscribers and generating a 6-figure income each month. But behind the picture-perfect vlogs, a much darker reality was unfolding, one filled with manipulation, extreme parenting, and isolation. Now, for the first time, Kevin and Chad are revealing what really happened behind closed doors and how everything spiraled out of control once Ruby Frank became involved with controversial therapist Jodi Hildebrandt. Kevin, who was married to Ruby for over 2 decades, now admits that much of the abuse was hidden from him. He says he deeply regrets not recognizing the warning signs sooner and has since filed for divorce. In his own words, he describes his past mindset as indoctrinated, revealing that he believed following Ruby's strict parenting methods would ultimately bring his family closer together.
Licensed therapist who was giving you advice, and you've trusted her for 5 years, and at first it was great advice, and I felt like she did a really good job with me. But when you build a relationship for 5 years, and when it gets to the point where your mom also trusts her more than she trusts her husband, for my dad, I understand that in order to get his family back and to not run into problems with my mom and our therapist, he had to obey her rules and follow each step.
Now 20 years old, has completely cut off contact with his mother and expresses no desire to reconnect with her anytime soon. However, he admits that she is still his blood and leaves the door open for the possibility of a relationship in the future if she truly changes.
I definitely hate the things she did, and I feel like I'm also a very lighthearted person in a sense where I would never wish someone to have a bad life, or what I really hope is that from here she becomes a better person and that she works on that and she truly tries to change. I have no contact with her right now, and I don't plan to anytime soon, but then again, she's still blood, she's still my mom, and maybe down the road eventually I'll have like a conversation with her and maybe eventually have a relationship where we can just talk. But when it comes to her actually being a mom and then eventually a grandma, I don't think I'll ever have that kind of close relationship again.
The 8 Passengers channel first launched in 2015 and quickly became one of the biggest family vlogs on YouTube. Ruby's brand revolved around strict discipline, faith-based parenting, and the idea that tough love was necessary for raising responsible children. However, as time went on, viewers began to notice alarming patterns in her behavior. She openly justified harsh punishments on camera, such as withholding food from her kids or making Chad sleep on a beanbag for 7 months as a consequence for misbehavior. The video of Chad's beanbag punishment was the moment that sparked widespread backlash, but instead of stepping back, Ruby doubled down. It was during this time that Jodi Hildebrandt entered the picture.
A lot of the physical violence that was described was hidden and kept from me. I didn't even know that those things happened, and I think Ruby was really careful to hide a lot of that from me. As far as the things like sleeping on a beanbag, removing Chad from sports teams and things, all of those directives came from Jodi, the licensed mental health counselor. I definitely voiced my opposition and concern, and it was always flipped back onto me of saying, well, this is why your children are disobedient. This is why you're having problems with your children, because you just enable them all the time. You're the problem, Kevin.
As a self-proclaimed therapist, Jodi pushed extreme and controversial parenting philosophies, leading Ruby to cut Kevin and Chad out of the family. Under Jodi's influence, Ruby became increasingly isolated, believing that anyone outside of their circle was a threat to their healing process. Together, Ruby and Jodi launched Moms of Truth, a podcast where they promoted damaging parenting ideologies, justifying the very same methods that would later land them both in prison. Kevin now admits that he was completely indoctrinated into believing Jodi's teachings. He says his only goal was to repair his fractured family, and because of that, he went along with many of Ruby's decisions. Meanwhile, Chad was forced to leave home at just 17 years old. Another decision Kevin claims was driven by Ruby and Jodi's extreme beliefs.
I was also required to move out of the house and never contact my siblings, never go back home. So it's funny because a couple people did reach out. A neighbor saw me riding my bike to school and to work, and she felt so bad because she realized I was a minor. I was 17, out living on my own.
Jodi preached that true transformation required enduring physical and emotional suffering, and Chad, under immense pressure, followed their teachings, even when it meant rejecting any form of comfort or support. Looking back, he describes that year as one of the most difficult of his life, a period where he had no contact with his family and was completely on his own.
That right there, what Chad just expressed, is the common theme in these separations that Jodi recommends and that she would tell us to do as her treatment. She insisted that we subject ourselves to pain and discomfort, and pain and discomfort would be what would change us, what would make us stronger.
Everything came crashing down in 2023 when one of Ruby's younger children escaped from Jodi Hildebrandt's home in Utah. The child was found in a horrific state, malnourished, duct-taped, and begging for help. The moment was captured on a Ring camera, and within hours, authorities arrested both Ruby and Jodi on felony child abuse charges. They later pleaded guilty and were sentenced to up to 30 years in prison. Kevin has since filed for divorce and has cut off all communication with Ruby, even going as far as requesting the Department of Corrections to prevent her from sending him letters. He refuses to disclose the contents of her last letter, making it clear that he wants nothing to do with her. Chad has also distanced himself entirely, saying that he doesn't feel like anything is missing from his life without his mother in it. He explains that he is in a much better place now and that her absence no longer feels unnatural.
I think it's relatively easy for somebody out there who's, armchairing this and looking at this experience going, well, why didn't he just do that? I would have done that. If, it was day number 1 and Jodi came to me and said, yeah, you're selfish. You need to go into separation and repent. I would have told her to take a hike. Yeah. I would have been like, you're crazy. And I did say that in the first time I was introduced to Jodi's program. But you have to remember, and these individuals have to remember, that this was now, I was 2.5 years in this program now, and Jodi doesn't start from day one saying stuff like that. She gets her hooks into you and slowly begins to indoctrinate you and condition you to believe things about yourself and to willingly give power to other people because you come to believe that you yourself aren't capable of making good decisions.
As Kevin and Chad promote Hulu's documentaries on the scandal, they're finally sharing their side of the story and revealing previously unseen behind-the-scenes footage of 8 passengers. Kevin describes the raw, unedited moments as shocking, stating that the process of filming their daily lives was far uglier than what was shown on camera.
The rules, the boundaries of the separation were completely defined by my former wife, Ruby, and by Jodi. What made it difficult was, they could cross the boundary anytime they wanted to, and that was okay. That was, quote unquote, in truth. But if I were to seek, even attempt to cross that boundary, that was an evidence that I was being selfish, that I was unsafe, and that likely my marriage would have ended.
This has sparked intense debate online, with some people sympathizing with Kevin, while others question whether he was truly unaware of the abuse. Many wonder if he is now trying to rewrite the narrative in an attempt to distance himself from Ruby's actions.
But, again, I understand for somebody who wasn't in it that it would seem strange. There was that coercion and flipping it back onto me, the gaslighting, that I was like, okay, well, maybe I am wrong. Maybe this is the right way to parent.
Kevin directly addresses this criticism, stating that the media has misrepresented the timeline of events. He claims that while Ruby's parenting was always strict, the criminal abuse that led to her arrest only began once Jodi Hildebrandt became involved with the family. He argues that the way the media has framed the story is not only misleading but completely inaccurate.
I know that there's a lot of sentiment out there, and I think I want to address this very directly and very clearly. One of the things that I've been so upset about with the popular media's narrative of this experience is how they've collapsed the timeline. And they've taken the events of 2023, which were criminal, which were atrocious and horrific, and they've just smashed them all the way back into previous years and extrapolated and assumed that those types of criminal activities were occurring years before Jodi entered our family, and that's just simply not true. The criminal physical stuff happened after Jodi came into the picture, and the severe and the strict consequences and outcomes came after Jodi came into the picture. Ruby herself, though, was throughout our marriage, she took a very strict stance when it came to parenting.
Yeah.
And I think she learned a lot of that from her own parents.
He also sheds light on the dangers of family vlogging, revealing that many content creators have interactions with their children behind the scenes that would be considered abusive if exposed. Chad supports this claim, saying that he has personally witnessed other family vloggers treat their children the same way his mother did, only they were never caught on camera. Kevin acknowledges that one of the biggest fears among family vloggers today is the possibility of their unedited footage being leaked. He explains that YouTube families often present a carefully curated version of their lives, hiding the harsher realities behind scripted moments and polished edits. Now that the truth about 8 passengers has been exposed, he hopes more parents will reconsider the risks of turning their children's lives into online content. He warns that while there are financial and social incentives to sharing family life on social media, the long-term emotional and psychological consequences for children should be the real concern. As Kevin reflects on the past, he admits that he still struggles with grief, regret, and sorrow over what happened to his family. He acknowledges that despite everything, he spent 20 years married to Ruby and still loves her as the mother of his children. However, he makes it clear that some lines, once crossed, can never be uncrossed. In his words, Ruby burned the bridges that once connected them, and there is no rebuilding what was lost. Now, Kevin is focused on moving forward, rebuilding his life, and ensuring his children have a stable future. He says that for the first time in years, things finally feel normal again, but that normal looks entirely different than before. Ruby is no longer a part of their lives, and that is a reality he has fully embraced. The controversy surrounding 8 passengers is far from over, and there are still many lingering questions. Does Kevin's side of the story change the way people see the situation? Should he be held more accountable for what happened? Or was he just another victim of Ruby and Joi's manipulation? Will Chad ever reconnect with his mother, or is he better off moving forward without her? The fallout from this scandal continues to unfold, and the conversation is far from finished. And that's where we'll leave it for now. This entire 8 passengers saga is a chilling reminder of the dark side of family vlogging and the dangers of unchecked influence. But what do you think? Do you believe Kevin was truly unaware of the abuse, or is he just trying to rewrite history? And do you think Chad will ever reconnect with his mother? Let's talk about it in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. I've got more stories coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.